Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to Be Bold Out Loud. I am so excited for you to join me once again. And as you know, here on Be Bold Out Loud, we deal with how do we get through the obstacles? How do we get through the things that have kept us where we are and that are keeping us from moving forward? And every time that we come together, I have an amazing guest who talks about that very thing. And so, again, today we're going to talk about breaking through because bold is to break through the obstacles to lead in your destiny. I'm Dr. Michelle. I'm your transformation strategist, and I assist professional women to be bold, to break through their obstacles to lead in their destiny. And we do that by helping them to reconnect with their true selves by rediscovering their purpose and their passion, realigning with their values and strengths, and then doing the reset so they can move from where they are to where they want to be with authentic confidence. And I want you to put yourself in that statement so you can rediscover your purpose and passion. You can realign with your values and strengths, and you can do a reset so you can move from where you are to where you want to be. So I'm excited tonight to have one of my good friends that we've just recently gotten together, but we get together on Clubhouse and we have the most amazing conversations. And she is just a phenomenal woman. And so I'm going to bring to the stage Coach Marie Williams, and then I would like to introduce her to you. So, welcome, 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 Coach Marie. I'm so glad you're here.
So am I. Thank you so much for this, Dr. Michelle. I just love to be in your presence. Our conversations are always amazing.
Yes, they are. Well, let me read your bio and then we're going to just have a conversation that I hope will encourage everybody that's listening to be bold, right? So, this is Coach Marie Williams. She is the mom of three, but a nurturer to many little people. Marie is a retired Air Force veteran and has taken ventures in many professions, simply experimenting in life's opportunities. Due to Coach Marie's love for people, she has landed in human resource management as a full time career. Through it all, Coach Marie has been an avid proponent of well being, making mental health a priority for herself and for others. She has personally grown from narcissistic relationships and confidence issues. And now Coach Marie assists others in discovering their truths and taking the steps needed in order to seek out their purpose in life with confidence. And I know we both love to talk confidence. And so I am so appreciative of what you said here in your bio. So I would just like to start out by talking about, I mean, you even share here how you've grown through the relationships, you've had to grow in your confidence. So I would just love for you to talk about what has breakthrough or what does breakthrough look like for you? What has that journey been for you?
Wow. You know, um, I feel so redundant sometimes, but it's the biggest example of breakthrough that I can give. So, breakthrough to me is pretty much, anytime a word is given to me, I look up the meaning. So, breakthrough is, a sudden, dramatic, important discovery or development, um, within yourself or within research, whatever it may be. And so, for a personal breakthrough to me, that is a light bulb going off. We always have those aha moments. And for me, it was absolutely my biggest one was leaving my narcissistic relationship. And I had been in it for, at the time, 18 years, about nine going on 19 years.
Mhm.
And I knew better. um you hear these things all this time, and you can hear the same things over and over from different people, but I think until you are allowing that light bulb to go off in you, and until you reach that point, and we're talking about growth, there comes a point where you have to grow so much before that light bulb can go on sometimes. And to me, it's that aha moment, that realization And most of the time, I think for most of us, it's um, realizing who we are. There's we watch my girls and I watch the Marlin show, and there's an episode on there where he and his wife go to a counselor, and all the whole time she says breakthrough new you. And I
Mhm.
think it's so funny and it's comical, but I really say that around the house sometimes, or even to myself, because ultimately that's what it means. When you have a breakthrough, you are no longer the same person. you
Mhm.
know it's no better do better, but it's almost like when you have that breakthrough moment, you can allow yourself to do better. You don't settle anymore. I don't believe it's a true breakthrough until until the change is evident, necessary, and once you have that, there's no going back.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I love that. I love that. And you said something, allowing yourself to grow. Because
yes.
I know so many times we can hold ourselves back, right? From those breakthrough moments for various reasons. But when we allow ourselves to really push through to whatever we need to have that breakthrough, it's a whole nother world, right?
It
You
is.
were in this relationship for 19 years and then you broke through, right? And you let that go. And now it's a whole nother world. And so how would you talk, or how would you help our listeners to get to that place where they really allow themselves to have the breakthrough, to go through the growing pains and to have the growth?
Yes. So, we all operate in different ways. We all have different support systems. We all don't have, not all of us have support systems.
Mhm.
And ultimately, as simple as it may seem, one of the most difficult things in life is to learn to love yourself.
Mm.
And I think once we start loving ourselves, and for a lot of us, in partnerships, just speaking on my own experience and those that I have coached, is you have to love yourself more than you love your partner. You have to know who you are in this world. Um, to me, I have to know who God has made me to be. You
Right.
have to know your purpose, know that you are relevant to this world. You have to accept and acknowledge that you are a living person, because so many of us are hindered by past traumas where we still consider ourselves, the little person, the child, stuck in a certain situation, and we put those self restrictions on ourselves. So it's really important that we acknowledge who we are and just learn to love ourselves. And right there, I think, is the biggest breakthrough, because when you acknowledge yourself as a person, you start understanding your capabilities. You understanding, the power
Mhm.
that you actually have in this world. A lot of times we get into relationships or we get into certain scenarios, even within careers, and we lose ourselves to the career or to the lifestyle that we're now surrounded by, rather, and we lose focus on our goals and who we truly want or what we truly want out of life. And I think when we can stop, breathe, love ourselves, take an inventory of ourselves, our likings, and who we are, and then make those your goals. You
Mhm.
can write down. To me, for me, what I started was, I literally had to write down the simple things in life that I like to do. I like this certain ice cream from this particular place.
Mhm.
You know, I like to just sit on the grass with my bare feet. I, li-
Mhm.
and it's those things a lot of times that we don't allow ourselves to do because we don't make the time. We're so lost in the everyday world. We're so used to adhering to someone else's commitments or their expectations of us that we don't stop to value our own abilities and our own likings, our own wants, and show love to ourselves in that way. And I think the more we do that, the more it allows us a sense of freedom that almost becomes so attractive. It's like, wait a second, what more can I do for myself? What
Yeah.
is it that I want out of life? I'm eating this ice cream. wow, I can do this, and it gives you that confidence, it gives you that encouragement and that support even from yourself that you can do this. And that essentially then becomes your motivation.
Mhm.
And so that's where I really think it starts is just understanding who you are, going
Yeah.
back to that child and knowing that you are somebody. Because a lot of
Mhm.
us are those children still waiting to recover, or we're still waiting for someone else to give us something that, we've been missing all this time. But the reality is we have all that we need right here. We just have to put it in our minds to, make that decision to live for ourselves.
That is so, so good. Yeah, and you said make the decision, and really isn't that what it comes down to? When I think about loving ourselves, if we really would love ourselves as Christ loved us, right? He's the ultimate example of
Yes.
loving, right? And he gives you the grass to sit in. He gives you the pleasure of having ice cream, right? He's the one that provides those pleasures for us. And we are so, I mean, we can be hardest on ourselves, right? We can beat ourselves up more than anybody else. We can say negative words about ourselves more than anybody else. And really, at the end of the day, if we would embrace who Christ has made us to be and love
Yes.
ourselves that way, it would again be a different, we'd be that different person, right? We wouldn't be caught in those hurts and those wounds and those hangups that keep us so stuck. They keep us so stuck. Oh my goodness. And I think both
Yes.
of us can probably give testimonies of how we've been in that place, we're like when we've
Amen.
just been
Yes.
so stuck. So I love that you shared that we just have to learn to love ourselves. But the bottom line being that decision is so important. It really is about a decision. And I know you and I have talked a lot, or we talk a lot about introspection, about understanding who we are, about taking time with ourselves to just understand who we are, and
Hmm.
really coming from, and really taking the time to heal from those childhood wounds, right?
Yes.
Because we just
Yes.
carry them, we can tend to carry them with us, and get caught up in so much time is wasted.
So much.
Yeah,
So much time is wasted.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when you think about obstacles, and we've talked, I think we've kind of alluded to it already, but when you think about the obstacles that get in people's way, can you talk to us about those, kind of reveal for us some of those obstacles that you think get in people's way that keep them from moving forward?
Absolutely. I think depending on how you were raised, I think depending on, the love needed or where you're at in life, it is so easy to find a crutch and to find
Mm,
an excuse.
yeah.
And, the old saying, when there's a will, there's a way, but you don't hear that when you're in that situation. You think, but what if? But what if? But I can't because. And well, no, because. And I think it's the voices of other people.
Mm,
I think it's financial.
mm-hmm.
No, here, I'm sorry. Ultimately, it's the confidence and the underestimating of their abilities.
Mm, mm-hmm.
People forget who they are and they forget who God is. And you has touched on it, and I feel so bad that I really didn't expound on that a little bit more. But when you have a relationship with God, that the blessings are going to come,
Yeah.
and you are going to get dug out of whichever ditch it is that you're in or that you see yourself in. And I'm going to say that because our minds can play the biggest tricks on
Mm,
us.
yeah.
The emotional battle is the biggest one. I can leave my house, I can wake up and decide I'm going to have a bad day, or I can wake up and decide that I'm still going to ponder and,
Mhm.
stay in bed because I'm grieving over what happened yesterday. And like you said, it's that decision that we have to make. Personally, I see obstacles now as I see obstacles and challenges as part of the marathon. I
Mhm.
get excited. It's
Good.
weird how God can make those things and how the change of life and how confidence can really just change your whole perspective. Rather than a woe, it's me and I can't because of this, it's okay, I just had this big bill. Okay, God, how are you going to work this out?
Mhm.
It almost becomes a guessing game. And I always relate life to a movie. The plot thickens,
Mhm.
scenes change.
Mhm.
Our seasons in life change. Nothing is forever. At some point, the movie is going to be over, but in between the start and the finish, there is so much that occurs. And
Right.
sometimes it takes you out of nowhere. You don't know what's coming around the corner.
Right.
And you don't have to know,
Mhm.
because as long as you have faith that this financial situation is just for a moment. This if I always tell, I'm because I'm in HR, I always tell my employees, if I get fired from this job today, I know if I put my best foot forward and I'm being the best person that I can do, it's because God has another plan for me. And I
Mhm.
think we just forget that. Those obstacles become hindrances when we forget who we are, we forget who God is, or we have an insecurity because we know we're not doing our best. We're not putting our, best foot forward. And sometimes people compare themselves because my best foot forward may simply be getting out of bed today, while
Mhm.
your best foot forward is, meeting with a multi-million dollar client.
Mhm.
So you never can compare yourself because we all have different destiny. We all have a different purpose in life. And so, overcoming obstacles is you have to take into perspective your goals, what your heart desire and what God has told you to do. Because when God tells you something, we can either choose to ignore it or we can choose to listen and then keep getting our head bumped upside the wall because we haven't learned our lesson yet.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah.
overcoming those obstacles can be very challenging. I always
Mhm.
tell people it ain't easy being cheesy,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it doesn't have to be that difficult either. And it's really about our perspective.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and as you were talking, it was making me think about the growth mindset and how we can use
Mhm.
opportunities or obstacles as opportunities.
Yes.
And what is it that, even though it's an obstacle, it's in my way, it's something that could stop me.
Hmm.
What can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? How can I be better because of this? And I love that you said, like, it's like a marathon, like, and you just keep going, in spite of the fact that, because at the end of the day, people that run marathons, what's their destination? It's the finish line, no matter how long it takes them to get there, right? And that's really what God, I believe, is asking of us too, is just keep going until you get to where it is I'm calling you to be. And so it's perspective, like you said, thinking about, okay, this is in my way, but how am I going to use it? How can it help me? How can I grow through it? How can I keep persevering? Because yeah, I love the movie thing. Like a lot, movies, especially suspenseful movies, like you don't know what's next. And it's like, oh my gosh, you didn't expect that, and yet, somehow they get around it or get through it. So yeah, I think they're just different ways for us to think about those obstacles. And I think both of us kind of work on that with our clients is, change
Hmm.
your mindset, right? So that your
Yes.
mindset is more along the lines of a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. So when I talk about breaking through obstacles, then I also am wanting people to lead in their lives, right? So when you think about leading in your life, what's your perspective about
Go for it.
that? Yes.
So, we all have a purpose, right?
Mhm.
We all have a purpose. And It doesn't matter what we've been through. And one thing I didn't touch on obstacles is what people I had to have this discussion with my daughter. What people don't realize is the more obstacles we have gone through, it's not always more wounds, it's more knowledge. It's
Mhm.
more knowledge, it's more experience, it's
Mhm.
more preparation for a bigger destiny.
Yeah.
And while I don't wish some experiences on my worst enemy, and I would never like to experience them, I believe that certain people do experience things so that they do have a story to tell, so that
Mhm.
they can fulfill their purpose, in the bigger perspective,
Yeah.
down the line. I wouldn't have taken these 18 years and changed anything because there's so much that I grew through,
Mm.
and I wouldn't be where I'm at now had I not been through it.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
but so taking the lead. So shameless plug. I'm just gonna say, I'm all about go get it.
Uh-huh.
My acronym for go get it is giving one good effort to improving thyself.
Mm.
And when you take that one step to love yourself, to improve yourself, you're going to find yourself doing that more. Um,
Mhm.
just write your goals down. Like take your take charge and realize who you are.
Yeah.
Know God. Um, build a relationship, a spiritual relationship. And I'm not gonna, tell everyone to come seek God, even though I think He's the greatest. I think
Mhm.
it's really important to have a spiritual relationship,
Mhm.
um, and a sense of higher being, because you have to know that you have a purpose.
Mhm.
And so just do the small things for yourself and decide what you want to do, and take a picture of, write it down, draw, write it down what that looks like to you so that you can physically see it. um, and write down your words of affirmation, even if you're not a millionaire.
Yeah.
Say, wake up every morning, and if that's one of your goals, say, I am a millionaire. I
Mhm.
will produce, whatever it
Mhm.
is. If you want to have clients, if you want to sell a product, if you just want to wear a certain type of clothes,
Mhm.
speak those things and say that you do, because taking charge of your life is putting into place whatever it is that you can in the current moment,
Mhm.
even if it's not tangible.
Mhm. That's right.
And you have to put yourself in that mind frame,
Mhm.
and know that you can do it. I think knowing is 99.9% of the battle.
Yeah.
It's that you can.
Yeah.
And when you know that you can, eventually you will.
Mhm.
Because Rome wasn't built in a day, but your confidence can be. And
Mhm.
so I just encourage people, take the lead. When you take the lead and don't let anyone else have a reign over you, other than your higher being, other than God,
Mhm.
then you know that you're
Right.
in head of the race.
That's
You're in the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that you can, really, that belief, right? Belief that
Yes.
you can. And I too, affirmations are huge, and I mean, when we speak, there's power, right, in our speaking.
Yes.
And so, how we even speak to ourselves can determine our outcomes. And so, it's so important to speak life, right? Speak affirmations, speak those things that you desire. And I think that is a great point as it relates to leading in your life, right? And not allowing other outside forces or other people's words to determine your outcome, but you take control and you take hold of it. So I think that's an excellent, excellent point. Um, so just one other thing I want to talk about is the last word, and that's destiny. And just what are your thoughts about destiny? When you hear that word, what do you think about?
Destiny is where we're going to, regardless of whether we want to or not.
Mhm.
I really look at it as God's purpose for us.
Mhm.
You know, um, oh, there's so much behind this. Um, and there's, so God's purpose for us, I always compare this to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like
Mhm.
that is our destiny. We're going to go through the different colors. We're going to go through the rain. We're going to go, through the clouds. We're going to go through, but there's this big pot of gold. And
Mhm.
so we're going to ride this rainbow. Now, whether we're riding high on red or coming down low on purple or all these different lessons in life,
Mhm.
and where we want to go can depend on us, and if we listen to God and how much we are intentional about listening to God and fulfilling our purpose,
Mhm.
and how much we love and stay focused on ourselves, and you know how much we want that pot of gold at the end of rainbow. It takes a lot of sacrifice.
Mhm.
And I think going back to what you were saying about the weaknesses and about the barriers, that can be um, a huge hindrance sometime in reaching our destiny, because people aren't willing to take the sacrifice, right?
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
I want to lose 100 pounds, but if I'm going to McDonald's every day ordering a large Coke and a Big Mac,
Not gonna happen.
I could probably be hindering my own destiny.
Right, right, right.
um, Ultimately, if my destiny is going to say that I'm going to be 500 pounds anyways, then I'm just going to be 500 pounds because God's going to make that happen. Whether He has to break my leg and I'm bedridden, or, whatever it may be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I think ourselves have to do that introspection and just realign ourselves, even if it's on a daily or hourly basis at times, realign ourselves with where we're at. What do we want? Where are our decisions?
Mhm.
And do they fulfill our purpose?
Mhm.
Because we can delay our destiny. We can help ourselves get there, or we can delay and not fulfill our purpose.
Yeah.
And so we just have to be mindful. I just say being mindful of yourself and where we're going. And sometimes we don't have the best reactions. We don't have we're not perfect, right? Who's
Right,
perfect? I'm
right.
going to go out there. I'm going to eat that ice cream sometimes. I'm
Yeah.
probably not going to always have the best thoughts that I should have about every situation, but that always gives there's always room for improvement, and it's whether we want to acknowledge that about ourselves and make those positive changes just in those small little moments can have
Mhm.
such a big impact on our character, on our purpose, who we are. Because as I tell people, in reaching our destiny, there's levels to this. It
Mhm.
doesn't just start and stay at one plateau. If we are aligning ourselves in the way that we're supposed to, there's levels to it.
Yep.
And there's challenges with each level.
Mhm.
It's just, where are we going to align ourselves? Where are we going to choose to break through or choose to stay there?
Mhm.
And if we want to break through, we can't continue the same habits. We can't continue the same thought processes. We have to want to change in some way.
Mhm.
Instead of holding on, we just have to know that there's a bigger purpose for us out there, and allow ourselves to take those steps, even if they're tiny.
Mhm.
We have to allow ourselves to take those steps and to fulfill
Yeah.
our destiny.
And I love, and I've heard you say that before, that there's levels to this. And I love that because I think so many times we miss so much because we're not willing to stay with the journey. The journey is important, right? The process is important. And
Huge.
the destiny is as you said, level by level by level. And so again, it comes back, like you said, to making the decision that you're going to keep going, so that you can like reach whatever that next level is. So I love that that there's levels to this. I like that you said that. So you've dropped some great nuggets tonight, Coach Marie, and I'm just again, I always just love our conversations, but I want to give you an opportunity to share with everyone how they can get in touch with you, if they'd like to connect with you. So can you share that with us?
Absolutely. Okay, so I am on Facebook. Marie Williams. On Facebook, Instagram. My Instagram, I chosen intentionally because I think that people need to understand that none of us are perfect, but it is imperfection in progression.
Mhm.
So that's my tagline. Um, but my email address is Marie, I kept it simple, Marie Q Williams at gmail.com.
Awesome.
So Facebook, Instagram, and email.
All right. Well, thank you again for being with me tonight. And, we'll have many more conversations, but I'm glad that we could share this conversation with everybody that'll be listening. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. So we are so grateful again. I am grateful for you listening in and joining for Be Bold Out Loud. Coach Marie has shared some amazing, amazing insights that we have to allow the growth to happen, that we have to make sure that we're self aware and that we're looking into ourselves so that we can continue to grow. We have to have that introspection. She talked about our lives being like a movie, right? And that we don't always know what's coming. But we have to keep going. We have to keep going and reaching those levels. Level by level is how we get to our destiny. And so we have to have that growth mindset that every obstacle can be turned into an opportunity for you to grow past your wounds, past your hurts, so that you can really show up as your bold and authentic self. So thank you so much again for joining me here on Be Bold Out Loud. And thank you for Coach Marie Williams being with us tonight. You have been listening to Be Bold Out Loud, and we cannot wait to see you on the next time. Thanks again. Dr. Michelle here signing off, and I will see you again soon.